Good morning. I'm Russ Mitchell, and welcome to 7 Minutes. Our guest today is one of the jewels of Northeast Ohio, a man who touched history almost 60 years ago, and we're fortunate he has shared his amazing experiences and thoughts with us. Clarence Bozeman is a retired Maple Heights educator. In 1958, as a college student, he won the job of being the personal driver for a young civil rights leader named Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Mr. Bozeman joined us now for 7 Minutes. It is good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, Dr. King's birthday next week, the holiday after that. Let's go back to 1958. You're a student at Alabama State University.
That's correct.
In Montgomery. The dean calls you up and says, I have this job for you. It's for driving for this guy. And the interview is with Martin Luther King Jr.
I rapped on the door, and he came to the door. And he said, I told him what my purpose was, and he said, come right in. And he set me down on a small settee next to Mrs. King piano, and we began to talk. And the interview lasted for almost 20 minutes.
And you got the job?
I got the job right on the spot.
Did you know who he was at the time?
Absolutely, because I had worshiped many Sundays at his church prior to me getting the job. So I knew who he was.
What kind of guy was he, would you say?
I would say that Dr. King was always focused on the movement. He was the kind of man who always reached down for the people who were downtrodden. But he was focused always on his purpose of the civil rights movement, not only in Montgomery, but throughout the United States.
I see. Now, what did your job entail exactly?
My job entailed first, I had to pick up Mrs. King and her two children. They only had 2 children at the time. And I would take them to church, and then I would double back to the university, pick up students who wanted to go to the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church. And from then, I would go in the community and pick up senior citizens, and get them there all by 11:45.
Okay, and this was, you got $6 a week for doing this?
$6 a week, paid in silver coins.
Every once in a while, I read that he would give you a 10 or a 20, just for no reason. What was the purpose of that?
He would give me a 10 or 20 when he and I would go on extra trips throughout Alabama. Usually this, Russ, would happen after church services. He would have speaking engagements in Perry County, Alabama, Greensboro, Marion, Selma, Talladega, Tuscaloosa, areas in and around Montgomery. Those locales were 1 hour to 2 hours away from Montgomery.
I see.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, he was already famous. The Montgomery boycott, the bus boycott had happened 3 years before that. He was already a nationally known figure. At that point, was his safety a concern at all?
No, his safety was not a concern at the time because the atmosphere in Montgomery and Alabama had decreased, had gotten to the point that he was not as the type of person who was drawing the kind of negative atmosphere toward him. Yeah. But he was always conscious of his safety, but it was not an overall issue at the time.
He would always ride in the front seat?
Always ride in the front seat because he never wanted to give the impression that he was being chauffeured. And I remember one time he had a 54 Pontiac. And I remember the car had begun to give us trouble, and I told him we needed a new car. He said, no, I would not buy another car or a new car right after the Montgomery bus boycott because I do not want to be listed or that I have bought a new car immediately after the boycott.
He was aware that a lot of people were watching him and taking note of what he was doing. Yeah. I understand there was a bump in the road, so to speak. You overslept one morning, is that right?
Well, yes, I had the car, and my chore with that day was to drop my passengers off, then go back to the church and pick him up, and he would either drive me to the campus or I would drive him home, or we would go on a sojourn wherever we had to go. But I fell asleep, and I did not pick him up. And I heard this rap at my dormitory door, and I opened the door, and Dr. King standing there, and he said, Mr. Bozeman, may I have my keys, please? He took the keys, walked away, and never said another word.
Really?
All that week, I said, now, I know he's going to fire me when I go up Sunday morning and pick up the car. He never mentioned it again.
Wow.
I know he was upset, though.
Right, right. But he never said anything else about it.
Never said anything. I saw him upset twice.
The family moved to Atlanta. The King family moved to Atlanta in 1960, and the job went away. You graduated from college. Did you ever see Dr. King again?
Yes, I did. A couple of times. He came back to Cleveland once that I had, when I had moved here. And I heard him speak down at the old hotel. I can't remember the name.
Sure.
And then he and I chatted about our old times, and he took me with him on a private dinner over on Wade Park. So I did see him, and I saw him. He came back through Cleveland the second time, and I saw him.
Oh, you saw Mrs. King as well?
Oh, yes, yes.
Also. Where were you on April 4th, 1968, the day he was assassinated? I guess a better question is, what went through your mind that day when you heard what happened? I
was coming from Empire Junior High School, and I heard the announcement. I pulled to the side, and I just started crying. Tears just flowed out of my eyes, and they were uncontrollable tears. I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
And the reason was that I knew this man on a personal basis. Now he has gone. He has been taken away from society in a needless death. And that hurt me.
Sure, of course. As someone who knew him and spent some time with him, we've got about 1 minute and 15 seconds left. What do you think he would think about race relations in this country today?
I think he would be disappointed because I think that one of the things, there are 4 themes that I have researched Dr. King that he believed in: love, hope, forgiveness, and prophecy. And when you put those ingredients together, I think that he thought that society would be far more advanced as far as social relation and race relation than they are today. And I think that he would be disappointed because the progress has stymied now. The progress for race relation in America has come to a plateau, and we need someone to push it ahead.
15 seconds left. I've seen you speak to groups. I've seen your eyes light up when you talk to them. Very quickly, what do you get out of speaking to people and giving your experiences, sharing your experiences?
I get a feeling of that I am imparting something about Dr. King that'll help the people along the way, especially young people. I want them to always remember him as more of a hero and more than I have a dream speech.
Clarence Bozeman, again, you are a treasure. It is great to meet you. I am proud to call you a friend, and we thank you so much for coming in today.
I'm glad to be your friend.
All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that is all for this week. I'll see you next week, next Monday actually, on the news, and back here next week for 7 Minutes. Have a great weekend.
To watch this segment again or see previous editions of 7 Minutes with Russ Mitchell, please go to WKYC.com.